Imagine a life where things don't have to go your way for you to feel at peace, where you stop fighting every setback, chasing every outcome, and overthinking every emotion. Life still moves, still changes, but you don't lose yourself in it. You stay centered, steady, present. That's not because life got easier, it's because you learned how to let go. Buddhism teaches us that peace doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from understanding it. As the Buddha said, you only lose what you cling to. This video will show you how to let life happen without losing your peace, your clarity, or yourself. 1. Let go of the illusion of control. Find peace in surrender. From the moment we wake up, we step into a mindset of management. We create to-do lists. We schedule our day down to the minute. We try to plan conversations, outcomes, and even emotions. Deep down, we believe that if we can just control enough pieces of relationships, our job, our health, the behavior of others, then we will finally feel calm, secure, and in control of our lives. But this is where the suffering begins, because life doesn't follow our plans. People we love may disappoint us or walk away. The job we thought was certain may suddenly end. Our health can change in a moment. No matter how perfect our blueprint, life has its own design. And when things fall apart, we feel anxious, helpless, frustrated, because we built our peace on the belief that control equals safety. But Buddhism gently reminds us of a deeper truth. Control is an illusion. We are not meant to dominate the flow of life. We are meant to move in harmony with it. Imagine trying to stop the tide with your hands. It's exhausting and impossible. But if you learn to float, to trust the water beneath you, you begin to move with ease, not struggle. That is surrender, not giving up, but letting go of what was never truly yours to hold. Letting go doesn't mean being passive or careless. It means understanding what is yours to do and what is not. It means showing up with wisdom and effort, but releasing the results. It means saying, I will walk with intention, but I will not be at war with what I cannot change. That is real peace. Not because life becomes easier, but because your resistance disappears. When you stop micromanaging every moment, a quiet realization sets in. You are still here. Life is still unfolding. Your heart is still beating. And in that breath, there is a spaciousness where peace can live. You no longer have to hold everything so tightly. You no longer need to panic when things don't go your way. You become softer but stronger, open but grounded. Surrender becomes your strength, and you begin to feel truly alive, not because you control life, but because you finally trust it. Letting go of control is not the end of your power. It is the beginning of your freedom. It is how you return to yourself after years of trying to hold the world in your hands. 2. Anchor yourself in presence. The storm is always in the mind. Most people believe their suffering comes from the outside world. They think if the world would just be quieter, kinder, or more predictable, they'd finally feel peace. But the truth is, most storms don't begin outside, they begin within. It's not just what's happening around you that causes pain, it's the thoughts that swirl endlessly in your mind. We worry about the future. We replay past regrets. We create worst-case scenarios in our heads. Even when life is calm, our minds can make it feel like a disaster is happening. This is why Buddhism places such deep importance on mindfulness, because the moment you become lost in your thoughts, you also become lost in fear, confusion, and doubt. You're no longer in the present, you're in imagined versions of the past or future. And the more time you spend in those places, the more exhausted you feel. Your body may be here, but your mind is running somewhere else, trying to fix what's gone or control what hasn't even happened yet. But the present moment is not your enemy, is your refuge. Right here, in this single breath, there is no anxiety, There is no regret. There is no chaos. Only awareness, only being, only now. And now is always peaceful if you choose to be in it fully. Anchoring yourself in presence means slowing down enough to actually notice the life that is happening in front of you. It means tasting your food instead of just swallowing it, listening to someone's voice instead of waiting to reply, feeling your breath instead of racing to the next task. It is a return not to some distant goal, but to the space where you already are. The present moment is not small, it is infinite. Every time you come back to it, you come home. You step out of the storm. You realize the mind may scream, but you don't have to follow its panic. You can watch your thoughts pass like clouds in the sky and choose stillness anyway. Being present doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you stop making it harder by living in places that don't exist anymore. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but the present, it's real. It's alive, it's yours. And the more time you spend in it, the more you begin to see that peace was never missing. It was just waiting for you to return. 3. Embrace impermanence. Everything changes, including you. There's a part of us that longs for things to stay the same. We fall in love and want the feeling to last forever. We find a moment of happiness and try to capture it, freeze it, protect it from time. We build routines, relationships, beliefs, and then we hold onto them tightly as if life owes us stability. But life is not made of stone, it is made of motion. And everything in it, every emotion, every season, every chapter is constantly shifting. Buddhism teaches the essential truth of anicca, the law of impermanence. This isn't a theory to be debated. It's a reality you can see in every corner of existence. Look at the trees, they bloom, they shed, they stand bare, and then they begin again. Look at the sky, it changes with each hour, never clinging to a single shape. Even your own body, your thoughts, your moods, they are constantly changing. Nothing stays, nothing lasts, nothing is static. And yet, this is what we struggle with most. We grieve not just people, but the versions of them we can't have back. We mourn the past, we panic about the future, and in doing so, we miss the miracle of what is here right now. We suffer when we try to grip what was never meant to be held. A sunset fades. A conversation ends. A phase of your life dissolves. And still we ask, why couldn't it stay? But impermanence is not here to punish us, it's here to awaken us. When you embrace impermanence, your relationship with life transforms. You begin to understand that every beautiful thing is precious precisely because it won't last. You stop expecting permanence in a world that breathes in cycles. You stop trying to lock joy in a box. You start showing up fully because you know the people and places you love may not be here tomorrow. So you look them in the eyes, you say the things you need to say. You slow down, you pay attention, you savor life like the fleeting moment it is. Even pain becomes more bearable when you understand its temporary nature. The loneliness that grips your chest, it will pass. The fear that clouds your mind, it too will shift. Emotions are like weather systems. They arrive, they stay, they go. You are not stuck. You are simply experiencing a season. And seasons always change. Perhaps the greatest freedom comes when you apply this truth to yourself. You are not who you were a year ago, or even yesterday. Your identity, your beliefs, your values, they evolve. And that's not a loss. That's growth. You are not broken because you are changing. You are becoming. When you release the version of yourself that no longer fits, you make space for who you are now and who you are still becoming. Impermanence invites you to live with soft hands, not clenched fists. It reminds you that nothing you love truly disappears, it only transforms. And when you begin to trust this movement, you stop resisting it. You begin to live not from fear, but from flow. Life doesn't ask you to hold on to everything. It asks you to experience it, to be present while it's here, to release it when it's gone, and to open your heart to the next wave, the next season, the next breath, because everything changes, including you. And that's not something to fear, that's something to bow to. 4. You are not your emotions, they are visitors, not masters. There are moments when a single feeling feels like the whole world, when sadness washes over you so deeply that it feels like it's always been there, when anger rises so fast it blinds your judgment, when anxiety tightens your chest and makes you believe something terrible is coming even if everything outside appears calm. In those moments, it's easy to forget the truth, to think, this is who I am now. But that's the illusion, because your emotions are not your identity. They are temporary weather. You are not the storm. You are the sky it passes through. Buddhism teaches that emotions are not meant to be suppressed, nor are they meant to rule you. They are visitors, messengers, waves in the ocean of your awareness. You feel themes, but you are not them. And the moment you forget this, you give away your power. You collapse into anger. You drown in sadness. You spiral in fear. And yet all along, there was a quiet awareness inside you watching it all unfold. That watcher, that still, spacious self is who you truly are. We often identify with our emotions because we've been conditioned to believe that feeling something means becoming it. But imagine if you applied this logic elsewhere. When it rains, you don't say, I am rain. You say, it's raining. The same goes for emotion. You don't need to say, I am broken. You can say, I'm feeling grief. You don't have to say, I am hopeless. You can say, I'm feeling despair right now. That small shift in language creates space between you and the feeling. And in that space is liberation. The practice is not to avoid emotion, it's to sit with it, to breathe through it, to let it rise and fall like a wave that you no longer fight. Emotions are here to show you something. Anger might point to a boundary that was crossed. Sadness might point to something meaningful that was lost. Fear might signal the edge of your comfort zone, but none of these feelings define you. They are guests knocking on the door. You can let them in. You can listen, but you don't have to let them move in and redecorate your soul. Mindfulness gives you the power to observe without reacting. You can watch the anger rise, feel the heat in your chest, and still choose not to speak cruelly. You can feel sadness wash over you and still keep moving gently through your day. You can allow anxiety to exist without letting it paralyze you. It's not about control, it's about awareness. You're learning to stay rooted while the winds blow. You're learning to be still while the waves crash. Over time, you'll begin to notice that your emotions lose their grip. They don't pull you under. They pass through like clouds across the sky. Some days will be clear. Some days will be stormy. But the sky remains. And the more you return to that spacious awareness within you, the more you realize you've never been broken. You've never been weak. You've just been overwhelmed by temporary storms. But underneath them, you've always been whole. The emotions are real, but they are not final. They visit, they move, they go. And you remain. 5. Detach from outcomes. Your worth is not in what happens. From the time we are children, we are quietly taught that our value comes from what we achieve. Gold stars, good grades, praise from others, these become the currency of our self-worth. As we grow older, this belief hardens. We begin to attach our identity to our accomplishments, our status, our appearance, our ability to produce results. We become deeply entangled with outcomes, believing that if things go well, we are worthy. And if they don't, we have failed not just at the task, but as people. This attachment becomes a quiet chain around the soul. We pour effort into our work, our relationships, our dream sand. Then we wait with tense hearts for the result to tell us whether we are enough. When the job goes to someone else, we question our talent. When a relationship ends, we question our lovability. When life doesn't unfold the way we imagined, we question our purpose. This is the danger of attaching your self-worth to what happens, because what happens is never fully in your control. Buddhism offers a radically liberating truth. You are not your outcomes. You are your intentions. You are the sincerity in your actions. You are the effort behind your choices, not the results that come from them. And while the world may only reward results, the path of inner peace rewards alignment. Did you show up with honesty? Did you give your best without harming others? Did you act from wisdom, compassion, and courage? If so, then you are already complete regardless of what life returns to you. Detachment is not indifference. It's not cold or careless. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals or caring about your dreams. It means you stop building your entire identity around whether those dreams succeed or not. You still give your full heart to your work, your relationships, your path, but you let go of the demand for a specific outcome. You let go of the belief that things must turn out a certain way in order for you to be okay. When you practice this kind of detachment, you begin to feel lighter. You stop trying to force life to cooperate. You stop panicking when things shift. You stop chasing approval or fearing rejection. You become rooted in something deeper than achievement. You find peace not in the applause, but in the integrity of your effort. This shift changes everything. You start to move through the world with a quiet confidence that doesn't rise or fall with each success or setback. You learn to celebrate progress without being addicted to perfection. You learn to love without clinging, to give without expectation, to serve without needing recognition. And ironically, when you stop obsessing over the result, you often perform better, love deeper, live freer, because your actions come from presence, not pressure. Letting go of attachment to outcomes doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It means you stop tying your sense of self to the fulfillment of those dreams. You walk your path fully. You put your whole heart into the process. And then you release the result like a prayer on the wind. What comes, comes. What goes, goes. And you remain whole, grounded, at peace. Because you finally realize your worth was never in the result. It was always in the intention, always in the heart behind the action, always in the presence you bring to each step, not the finish line waiting ahead. 6. Practice non-resistance. Let life flow through you. Most of the suffering we experience in life doesn't come from the actual pain we face. It comes from our resistance to it. Something uncomfortable happens, and immediately our instinct is to push it away. We tighten our chest against sadness, fight back tears, pretend we're fine when we're not. We brace ourselves against fear. We numb ourselves to disappointment. We argue with reality, saying in our minds, "This shouldn't be happening." But it is. And the more we resist what is, the more trapped we become inside our own struggle. Pain is inevitable in life. Loss, failure, heartbreak, uncertainty, they will visit every soul, no matter how careful or strong. But suffering the ongoing, crushing weight of that pain comes when we cannot accept that these things are part of the journey. Buddhism doesn't ask you to enjoy pain. It asks you to allow it, to stop fighting what already exists, to stop demanding that life be anything other than what it is in this moment. Because that resistance, as subtle or loud, is what causes the deepest exhaustion. Imagine standing in a river and trying to hold back the water with your bare hands. That's what mental resistance feels like. You push against it. You struggle, you wear yourself down. But the river doesn't stop. It keeps flowing. The only peace is found when you let go. You stop trying to block the current and instead allow it to move through you. Then something amazing happens. You begin to float. You're no longer drowning in what you can't control. You're moving with it. Non-resistance is not passivity. It's not about giving up or doing nothing. It's about softening your inner grip. It's about meeting life with presence instead of panic. When sadness comes, you sit with it. You breathe into it. You let it speak, let it cry, let it leave. When fear arises, you don't push it down or pretend it's not there. You acknowledge it. You give it space. You walk beside it, not beneath it. This gentle allowing is powerful. It transforms the pain, because what you resist persists. But what you accept begins to shift. Your body knows this truth before your mind does. Every time you resist an emotion, your shoulders tighten, your jaw clenches, your breath becomes shallow. But when you allow, your body softens. Your nervous system begins to regulate. You come back into the safety of the moment. Even if that moment is uncomfortable, there's a deep intelligence in surrender, not a giving up, but a giving in to what's real. There's also a kind of humility in this practice. Resistance often comes from the ego part of us that wants to control, fix, or prove something. But when you allow life to be what it is, you're saying, I don't have to be in charge of everything. I can trust the unfolding. I can meet this with grace. And slowly, that soft humility becomes strength. Not a loud, aggressive strength, but a quiet, grounded one. The kind that doesn't break under pressure. The kind that bends like bamboo in the wind and rises again after the storm. Practicing non-resistance means becoming a safe space for yourself. It means knowing that whatever you feel, you don't have to reject it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to make it go away right now. You simply make room. You hold the experience gently, like a fragile bird in your hands. And in that spacious holding, healing begins. Life is constantly changing. Some days are light, some are heavy, some arrive with joy, others with grief. But all of them can flow through you without destroying your center if you stop resisting. You become a vessel, not a wall. A wave, not a dam. You begin to realize that nothing needs to be pushed away to find peace. In fact, peace begins the moment you stop pushing. Let life move through you. Let it teach you. Let it shape you, but never harden you. The storm may visit, but you remain the sky. The pain may pass through, but it no longer stays stuck. Because you no longer resist. You allow. You flow. You remain free. 7. Come home to the self you were never truly lost. In the loudness of the world, in the pressure to perform, impress, achieve, and belong, we often drift so far from ourselves that we no longer recognize the person staring back at us in the mirror. We wear masks, not out of deception, but out of survival, trying to be what others need, what society demands, what circumstances expect. Slowly, without even realizing it, we abandon our inner truth. We trade our presence for performance. And even though we're surrounded by people, goals, distractions, and noise, we feel a quiet emptiness inside. This is not because you're broken, it's because you're far from home, not physically, but spiritually. You've been walking away from yourself, step by step, trying to find validation in a world that cannot give you what only your own being can offer. Wholeness. The sense that you are enough, not because of what you do, but because of who you are beneath all the doing. Buddhism doesn't ask you to become someone new. It asks you to remember who you've always been before the world told you otherwise. Beneath your thoughts, beneath your titles, beneath the wounds and the worries, there is something untouched, a pure awareness, a still presence, a silent observer that has never left, never changed, and never needed to prove anything. That presence is your true self, not the roles you play, not the opinions of others, not even the voice in your head that sometimes tells you that you're not good enough. That voice is just noise. The self is the one who hears it without being defined by it. Coming home to yourself means returning to that inner space where you are no longer performing. You are simply being. You're not fixing anything. You're not chasing anything. You're not hiding. You are sitting quietly with the deepest part of you, the part that sees clearly, feels deeply, and loves unconditionally. And it's here, in this sacred stillness, that you begin to feel whole again. Not because you have it all figured out, not because life is perfect, but because you're finally with yourself, not against yourself. You're no longer abandoning your truth for temporary comfort. You're no longer seeking yourself in others' reflections. You're no longer believing that you have to become more to be worthy of love. This homecoming is subtle. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives in quiet moments, in the breath you finally notice, in the tears you finally let fall, in the silence you no longer try to escape. It arrives when you start choosing peace over performance, authenticity over approval, stillness over stimulation. It's in the way you sit with your sadness without needing to fix it, in the way you smile at the sky without needing a reason, in the way you whisper to your heart, "I'm listening now." Coming home to the self also means accepting every part of you, the light and the shadow. You stop trying to be perfect and instead become whole. You forgive your past selves for what they didn't know. You make peace with the parts of you that hurt. You stop waiting for someone else to save you, and instead, you become the sanctuary you've been searching for. This practice doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger in the right way, not hard and defensive, but soft and rooted. You walk through the world with a calm center, no longer needing to grasp for meaning in things that come and go. You begin to live with depth, presence, and clarity. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to speak from your soul, not your fear. You're no longer afraid to be alone, because you've met the one person who will never leave you. And in that meeting, you are no longer lost. Because the truth is, you were never truly gone. You were simply waiting beneath the layers, behind the noise, beneath the masks. And now, you've come home. Home to the quiet. Home to the awareness. Home to the peace that was always within reach, the moment you chose to turn inward. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember yourself. And once you do, you'll never have to chase worth again, because you'll realize you've always been it. Stillness is not emptiness. It is the fullness of your being. In a world that never stops moving, stillness is misunderstood. People mistake it for laziness, for emptiness, for doing nothing. We have been conditioned to associate our value with motion, with how much we accomplish, how busy we stay, how quickly we respond. In this restless rhythm, silence feels strange. A slow moment feels like a threat, and sitting in stillness? For many, it feels like disappearing. But what if stillness is not the absence of life, but the deepest expression of it? Buddhism teaches that stillness is sacred. It is not a blank space. It is not a void to be filled. It is a place where truth speaks not in words, but in presence. In the modern world, we've become so addicted to movement that we no longer know how to be with ourselves. We fill every silence with scrolling, every pause with distraction, every quiet moment with noise. But underneath all this motion, there is a whisper waiting to be heard, a gentle voice that arises only when everything else becomes quiet. That voice is your being, and you can only hear it in stillness. Stillness is not about sitting in a cave or detaching from life. It's about being so deeply present in a moment that time slows down and your awareness expands. When you are truly still, not just externally, but internally, your senses awaken. You start noticing the sound of leaves rustling outside, the warmth of your breath entering and leaving, the weight of your body resting on the earth. In this awareness, you reconnect not with ideas, but with existence itself. Stillness is where you meet yourself, not your mind. It's where the chatter fades and clarity begins. In stillness, you see how thoughts rise like waves, and you realize you don't have to ride each one. You can simply watch. You can choose to be the ocean instead of the wave. That's where peace lives, not in changing the world around you, but in changing the way you relate to it. We often believe that doing more means living more, but the greatest truths, the most healing moments, the most transformative awakenings, they don't arrive in chaos. They arrive in the quiet, in the still space between one breath and the next, in the sacred pause between stimulus and response, in the silence where your soul finally has room to speak. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to escape your life to find stillness. You can carry it with you, in the middle of a crowded room, while walking in the market, while holding someone's hand. Stillness is not the absence of noise, it's the presence of awareness. It's the space inside you that doesn't move, no matter how fast the world spins. The part of you that is always calm, always watching, always untouched. When you begin to honor stillness, you begin to live differently. You no longer react impulsively. You listen more deeply. You feel more fully. You stop needing to rush into every answer or escape every silence. You trust that wisdom doesn't always speak loudly, and that truth often arrives without noise. And slowly, your nervous system begins to heal. Your breath slows. Your eyes soften. You begin to realize that life was never meant to be a race. You were not born to burn out. You were born to be, fully, consciously, gently, completely. In stillness, you remember that you are not behind. You are not missing out. You are not a machine built to perform. You are a soul experiencing the miracle of being alive, and that is more than enough. Stillness is not a void. It is your fullness. It is not doing nothing. It is doing the most powerful thing of all being. So pause, sit, breathe, return, because everything you are searching for out there already lives inside the stillness you keep trying to avoid. Acceptance does not mean agreement. It means inner freedom. One of the most misunderstood ideas on the spiritual path is acceptance. Many people hear the word and confuse it with giving in, with weakness, or with endorsing something they disagree with. They think accepting means approving injustice, allowing disrespect, or tolerating pain. But true acceptance, Buddhist acceptance, has nothing to do with giving up your values or silencing your truth. It has everything to do with reclaiming your inner peace by no longer arguing with what already is. Acceptance means seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. It means stepping out of the mental battle that says, "This shouldn't be happening," and instead whispering, "It is happening, and now I will meet it with wisdom." That shift seems small, but it's the difference between living in suffering and living in freedom, between exhausting yourself with resistance and choosing the clarity of presence. You can accept that someone hurt you and still walk away. You can accept that a relationship is over and still grieve. You can accept that your past shaped you and still choose to grow beyond it. Acceptance does not rob you of your power. It returns it to you, because as long as you are rejecting reality, you are stuck in a fight you cannot win. The past has already happened. This moment has already arrived, and no amount of internal protest will make it disappear. But when you accept that something is real, truly real, you stop leaking energy into what cannot be undone. You become grounded in the now. And from there, from that space of deep honesty, you can finally take wise action. Think of a lotus growing from mud. It does not fight the mud. It doesn't curse the dirt or demand clean water. It grows anyway. It accepts the conditions as they are and transforms them into something beautiful. That is the nature of the awakened mind. It sees what is and responds from inner clarity, not from resistance or denial. Buddhism invites us to practice radical acceptance, complete opening to reality, even when it's painful, unfair, or uncomfortable. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you care from a deeper place. You no longer react from fear. You respond from awareness. You no longer blame the world for being what it is. You meet the world as it is, and you choose how to move within it. And sometimes, what you need to accept is not the world, but yourself. Your flaws, your past mistakes, the parts of you you've tried to hide or fix for years. Acceptance means saying, I see you. I may not like everything, but I will no longer reject myself. Because healing begins not in perfection, but in being seen without judgment. In time, you begin to feel the difference between resistance and responsibility. Resistance says, I refuse to feel this. I refuse to see this. Responsibility says, this is here. I will face it, and I will move forward with grace. One keeps you trapped. The other sets you free. Acceptance is not passive. It is powerful. It is not the end of change. It is the beginning of real transformation. Because until you accept what is, you cannot transform it into what can be. You must touch the ground before you can rise from it. You must see the truth before you can walk in it. So let go of the belief that acceptance means defeat. It doesn't. It means you have stopped fighting with reality long enough to actually live in it. It means you've given yourself permission to breathe, to feel, to move, not from illusion, but from truth. And in that space, everything changes. Not because the world becomes easier, but because you become free from needing it to be. Let life happen, but stay with yourself. By now, you may have realized something quietly profound. You don't need to control everything to be at peace. You don't need to chase life to be fulfilled. You don't need to escape emotion to find clarity. And you certainly don't need to become someone else in order to be whole. What you truly need is to come home, to yourself, to that calm, unwavering center beneath all the movement, to the part of you that never leaves when things fall apart, to the still, observing presence within you that watches the storm without becoming it. The art of letting life happen without losing yourself is not about removing yourself from life. It's about entering it more deeply with awareness, with compassion, with the kind of courage that doesn't fight what is, but flows with it. You are not here to become a rock against the river. You are here to become the river fluid, alive, ungraspable, yet deeply rooted in presence. Yes, there will be pain. There will be uncertainty, heartbreak, and change. But you now know, none of those things have the power to take away who you are unless you hand them that power. You don't lose yourself in the experience when you learn to witness it instead of becoming it. You don't drown in the emotion when you stop identifying with it. You don't break when life bends you if you learn to bend like bamboo and stand again with grace. The world will still spin. People will still misunderstand you. Plans will still go sideways. But inside, you will carry a quiet, sacred steadiness. Not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. You'll stop trying to be everywhere and return to now. You'll stop seeking safety and certainty and find it in presence. You'll stop fearing change and learn to dance with it. And most of all, You'll stop looking for yourself in the eyes of the world and start finding yourself in the stillness of your own soul. You don't need to win every battle. You don't need to explain your path to those who can't hear it. You just need to stay rooted, stay aware, stay kind, and, no matter what happens, stay with yourself. That's the art. That's the way. That's the quiet, powerful revolution of awakening. Let life happen. Let it unfold. Let it surprise you. But never again let it make you forget who you are beneath it all.